The dining room was a cavern of silence where my husband's laughter used to echo. It had been 1 week since I buried Arthur, my partner of 40 years, and the grief was a physical weight, pressing down on my chest with every breath. My son, Ethan, and his wife, Chloe, sat across the mahogany table, their faces like stone masks. Chloe's voice, sharp as broken glass, sliced through the quiet. "Now that your father is gone, there are things we need to discuss, Eleanor." I looked at my son, searching for the boy who once clung to my hand, but he just stared at his plate, a faint, unsettling smile on his lips. "This house is simply too much for you now," Chloe continued, her words dripping with false concern. "Ethan and I feel it's time you moved into a more suitable facility. You have 2 weeks to pack." The words hit me, but the next sentence shattered me. "After all," she added with a cruel flick of her wrist, "the house was never really yours anyway. You were just living here." My world tilted. 40 years of building a life, a family, reduced to house-sitting. Ethan finally looked up, his eyes cold and distant. "She's right, Mom. It's for the best." That night, numb with shock, I began the impossible task of dismantling my life. In Arthur's closet, behind a row of his favorite tweed jackets that still smelled faintly of his cologne, my hand brushed against something cold and hard. It was a small, locked metal file box. Taped to the top was a note in Arthur's familiar scrawl, "For my Eleanor, if the worst happens." My breath caught in my throat. I shook the box gently. It was heavy with papers, but there was no key. It was a lifeline I couldn't grasp, a final secret from the man I thought I knew completely. What was he trying to tell me from beyond the grave? The next morning, with my eviction looming, I drove to our bank, my heart pounding with a desperate, fragile hope. I wasn't just checking balances. I was on a treasure hunt, searching for a key. The manager, a kind woman who had known Arthur for years, greeted me with gentle sympathy. "Mrs. Sterling, I'm so sorry for your loss." I explained my situation, my voice trembling. "I'm looking for a safety deposit box. I think Arthur might have left one." Her fingers tapped on the keyboard, and then her eyebrows shot up. "Oh, yes. He set it up 5 years ago. But the key, he left it with his lawyer, with specific instructions it was only to be released to you, and only after his passing." An hour later, I was sitting in a sterile, quiet room at the bank, holding a small, cold brass key. It slid into the lock of the safety deposit box with a satisfying click. Inside, there was no jewelry, no stock certificates. There was only another, smaller key and a single, thick envelope sealed with wax. My hands shook as I broke the seal. It was a letter from Arthur. "My dearest Eleanor," it began. "If you are reading this, I am gone, and I fear our son has not done right by you. Forgive me for my secrets, but I saw the storm coming. The business was never sold. The money was never gone. I was building you an ark. This key opens the file box in my closet. Everything you need is in there. Go see Sarah Vance, my accountant. She knows everything. She is your ally. Be strong, my love. I am with you always." Tears streamed down my face, not just of grief, but of a profound, aching love. He had seen it. He had known. Back home, I retrieved the metal box from the closet. The key from the bank slid into its lock. Inside was not just a file, it was an arsenal. Meticulously organized folders detailed the restructuring of Sterling Construction into a private trust 5 years ago, with me, Eleanor Sterling, as the sole beneficiary and owner. Another file contained profit and loss statements, showing the company was not just stable, but incredibly profitable. And then I saw the thickest file, labeled ES Loans. Page after page of documented transfers to my son, Ethan, framed as formal business loans, complete with interest schedules he'd never once adhered to. The total was staggering. over $120,000. While they were planning to throw me out with nothing, my son was in debt to me for a fortune. As I was absorbing the magnitude of Arthur's foresight, my phone rang. It was Sarah Vance, the accountant. "Eleanor," she said, her voice tight with urgency. "You need to know, Ethan is here, at the main office. He's with Frank Miller, your foreman, and he's demanding the company books and all the keys. He's claiming he's the new owner." I took a deep breath, the papers in my hand feeling like a shield. "Sarah," I said, my voice steady and clear. "Put me on speakerphone." There was a click, and I could hear Ethan's voice, arrogant and bullying. "Frank, I'm not asking again. I'm in charge now. Hand over the financials." I let the silence hang for a moment before I spoke, each word precise and cold. "Ethan," I said into the phone, "that's enough. You are trespassing on my property. I suggest you leave now, before I call the police." The silence on the other end was absolute. The first shot had been fired. I knew what was coming next. They would be here soon, furious and confused, ready for a war they had no idea they had already lost. They arrived less than an hour later, their car screeching into the driveway. Chloe stormed in first, her face a mask of rage. "What is the meaning of this, Eleanor? Are you senile? Humiliating your own son in front of his employees?" Ethan followed, his expression a dangerous mix of fury and confusion. "Mom, I don't know what game you're playing, but it ends now. You will call Frank. You will tell him I am in charge, and you will sign whatever papers my lawyer sends over." They stood in my living room, the one Arthur and I had painted together, and treated me like a disobedient child. I let them vent. I let them expose the full, ugly depth of their greed. Chloe was already talking about which walls to knock down, how much the house would be worth once the old-fashioned decor was gone. When they finally paused for breath, I calmly walked to the coffee table and placed the first folder on its polished surface. "Sterling Construction has not been part of your father's estate for 5 years," I said quietly. "It is held in a private trust." I slid the trust document toward them. "I am the sole owner." Chloe snatched it, her manicured nails digging into the paper as she read. Ethan's face went white. That's impossible," he stammered. "Dad said the business was worthless." "On the contrary," I said, placing the second file on top of the first. "It's quite profitable, which is fortunate, because it will need to be to service its largest outstanding debt." I opened the ledger of his loans. $123,450, with interest. "Owed by you, Ethan. To me," Chloe shrieked. "This is a lie. Those were gifts. You manipulated a dying man." I looked at my son, whose entire world was collapsing around him. "You think this is about the business, don't you? You think this is the prize?" I let out a long, slow breath. "You are so wrong." I retrieved the last document from my folder. "You're right. You can have the house. I don't want it anymore." A flicker of victory crossed their faces, but it died instantly as I continued. 18 months ago, your father took out a second mortgage on this property for $400,000. I slid the bank statement across to them. He transferred the entire sum into the business trust. My trust. This house, the one you feel so entitled to, isn't an asset. It's an anchor of debt. A debt you have no possible way to pay. But I do. The silence that followed was the sound of complete and utter ruin. It was the sound of their greed turning to ash in their mouths. I stood up, feeling a strength I hadn't known I possessed. Arthur built me an ark, you see, not just to save me, but to show me the truth. I walked to the door and held it open. "My lawyer will be in touch to arrange a payment schedule for your debt. Now, I believe you have some packing to do. Get out of my house." 6 months later, I stood on the porch of a small cottage overlooking the ocean, a place Arthur had secretly bought for me years ago. his final, unspoken gift. The old house was sold, the mortgage paid, and the profits were mine. The business, under Frank's loyal management, thrived. The legal settlement ensured Ethan would spend the next decade paying back every cent he owed. A letter of apology had arrived, filled with regret and shame, but I tucked it away. Forgiveness might come one day, but peace had to come first. As the sun set over the water, painting the sky in hues of orange and violet, I raised a glass, not to victory, but to a love so powerful it could reach across death to protect me. He had given me more than money or property. He had given me back to myself. And in the quiet hum of the ocean, for the first time in my life, I felt completely